Welcome, everyone, to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame to his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
And with us here, we've got the king of comments, co-host of the show, the magnificent Son X.
X time, let's get it, baby.
Oh, gosh. If you're new to this channel, you're new to this podcast, welcome. This is a once-a-week podcast that takes place every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to do a few things. If you like the content, you like what we cover, make sure to subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss out on any of our further podcasts and episodes. And also make sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you hit the thumbs up button, it lets myself, Grumpy, and SunX know that you like the podcast, you like the content that we produce, and also apparently it helps the algorithm. Again, we are an all sports podcast. We talk anything and everything sports. We talk NHL, we talk MLB, we talk NFL, we talk college athletics, we talk world football, we talk literally anything and everything football on this channel. So again, if you like that, or anything and everything sports on this channel, not just football.
But not just football, TJ.
I was about to say, not just football, but yes.
We don't talk about offensive linemen.
Well, what can I say? I'm looking at the NFL draft coming up, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, and I'm getting all excited, Grumpy. What can I say about the linemen that are going to be picked? But anyway, if you like the content we produce, again, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and make sure to like the video. For today's episode, we've got some updates around many different sports. I guess the first one, because I know Grumpy has definitely some sort of feeling about it that he shared last night. It looks like the Arizona Coyotes are going to be headed to Salt Lake City, to in Utah. Grumpy was upset about this. Grump, you just yesterday you were harping on the show, the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. What has Salt Lake City done to prove or to showcase that they deserve an NHL team? But Grumpy, why are you upset about this?
I just don't understand Salt Lake City as a franchise location. Are there not better locations for an NHL team? I'm kind of baffled by the selection of Salt Lake City, to be honest with you. Utah. I mean, I'd much rather move the team to – what about Quebec? Give the Canadians another team.
Gary Bettman hates the Canadians. He hates the Canadians.
I think he hates them too.
Quebec's already failed with their franchise. The Quebec Nordiques didn't pan out. What's wrong with them? What's the real issue you have with them giving one to Salt Lake City?
I don't think they're a major league city. Why not just
the Utah Jazz are located there?
Yeah, whoop-de-doo. What about Minot, South Dakota? Maybe we should move a team there.
I guess you could argue the same thing. Well, the Phoenix Suns are in Phoenix. I mean, the Utah Jazz aren't a big market team in the NBA.
Okay, it's because the Utah Jazz, the feather in their cap is Rudy Gobert. If the Utah Jazz had big name players on the team, they'd be they're really like the Bucks, right? The Milwaukee Bucks are not a big name brand or team, but guess what? Giannis, the Greek freak, I still never be able to pronounce his last name.
Antetokounmpo.
How you pronounce that?
Antetokounmpo.
Maybe we should watch you butcher that one.
Giannis A. Okay, you know what? I'll tell you this.
It's not Giannis, it's Giannis.
Giannis, baby. Giannis.
What a name.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's his name.
Yeah, Giannis. Anyway, I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks are not a big name franchise, but guess what? People know the Milwaukee Bucks because they know Giannis. Simple as that. And if the Utah Jazz had a big name player like that too, the same way. I will say, I do think it's kind of, here's the thing. They refused. They didn't want Arizona Coyotes. They just kind of, the state didn't want them. Arizona really didn't give a shit about them. So they're just like, let them leave. Not really much of a fight on their side. It does, I will say, kind of stinks for the Arizona Coyote fans because many, many years of poor hockey on the ice product. And it's like now they're not there yet, but they're maybe finally starting to piece together some of the pieces needed where you're like, this may work, this piece may be valuable, this piece can do the trick. And it's like they may finally be coming out of this massive rebuild to where they could finally produce a real team.
Weren't they playing at Arizona State's arena because they couldn't fill up their own?
Yes, Mullet Arena. Well, they don't have an own, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah, they didn't have a stadium. The league was not making payments. The league has control over this team, and they were not making payments to the stadium venue. The NHL, the league was not making the payments as they owned this team to the actual stadium to make sure they could still play. Anyway, go ahead though, Grumpy.
You mean you kind of say, well, it's bad for the Arizona fans just while you turn around. You mean like when they left Quebec and then wound up winning the Stanley Cup their first year after leaving to go to Colorado? You mean like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What about Quebec? Are you trying to say that there wouldn't be enough people you don't think there is more hockey fans in Quebec than there is in Utah? I don't know. I mean,
here's the problem with the Canadian teams. We talked about it briefly yesterday.
They're in Canada?
No. Canadian fan bases actually have real expectations for their teams. You know what it's like? It'd be like, yeah. Let me ask you this, Grump. If the Yankees were miserable, would Yankee fans still go to games and support the Yankees?
Yes.
Or do they not go and they're just like, fuck the team?
Attendance would be down.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking Grump because he's seen the Yankees bad. You have
attendance when the Yankees are bad. Attendance is down. When they were bad in the early 70s, attendance absolutely was down.
It would be like, here's the thing. Yankee fans have real expectations and they have real aspirations for their team. They're upset. Yankee fans are not happy when the team makes it to the postseason and gets beat by Houston every year. That the Yankee fans aren't excited about that. Canadian fans, fans who support hockey, they eat, sleep, drink hockey up there in Canada, are not happy if the team is not successful. They just aren't.
But you don't think if Quebec is a hockey mad city, you don't think that the just for being there, you don't think the first couple of years they get a pass, and as the team gets better?
Well, I think they get a pass, sure, for the first couple of years. Yeah. I'll say this: it's just I think they're trying to expand the sport. I don't right with all of these professional sports. At what point does it become too watered down where there's too many freaking teams?
I don't think anything more than 32 is enough. I think in any sport
they're going to try to expand the 34, whatever they're going to try to. They're going to continue to try to expand, Grump.
Okay, but then it's like then one is what do?
You want to when is too much? Too much,
right? Well, when's enough? But the whole thing is you dilute the talent. That's what happens when you go from 32 to 34. Well, now guess what? You still have the same amount of players now. You know, it's not like you're overrun with super talented players in the minors. It just dilutes the product. Do you think hockey-wise there are 32 starting quality goaltenders in the league right now?
There are not.
There are not. So you want to add another 2 teams to it? I don't understand.
Another 2 backup goalies are going to become starters. And yeah, you're right. The goaltending is the thing that I think is the most blatantly obvious, where it's like they're not quality. I mean, I'd say the amount of legitimate quality goaltenders there are in the league, 15, maybe 20. It's the same thing with the NFL. How many real quality quarterbacks are there in the NFL? And I'd say that impacts being the watchability of the sport. Shitty quarterbacks impacts the watchability of football a lot more than a bad goalie does the watchability of a hockey game. That being said, you have a much wider net that's cast in fans that watch NFL than do NHL. That's just simple.
In this country, for certain. This country.
Well, worldwide.
Okay. Football is not American football is not a worldwide sport. It just isn't. They want it to be. The greedy pigs at the NFL want it to be. They're doing everything they can, having a game in Brazil this year. Shit. I mean, how badly do you think they want to get into other markets? You know they want something in Europe. They've had NFL Europe before. They go over there every year. How many times now?
Germany every year.
They play in Germany. They play in England. Now they're going to play in Brazil. They tried playing in Mexico City. They want this to be a worldwide sport. All it can do is hurt the league. That's
soccer is the only sport that's worldwide.
Right.
It's because everybody is familiar with soccer.
Everybody can play it. It's not expensive. It's a cheap sport to play. That's why it's
not
worldwide.
saying that football's not an expensive sport.
Football. You said football's not an expensive sport.
When you look at it comparison to other sports, it's not an expensive
You need
sport.
pads. You need cleats.
All you need is a ball. You need helmets.
Field goal posts.
If you're playing football, you can play 2-hand touch football. Same shit.
You could play soccer in the street with a rock.
Okay. Yep. You could play football with a round object that is full of air.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not the same.
Football is a United States sport.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not. Football, out of all the sports that are out there, is not as expensive as you're leading it on to be.
Wrong. The two cheapest sports are probably soccer and basketball to play.
X, what's the difference between basketball and football?
You don't need pads to play basketball. You need pads to play football.
You have basketball hoops.
You could literally take a bucket and strap it up to a tree, tie it to a tree, and play basketball.
You could
still invented all around. They put a peach basket on top of a pole. That's how it started.
Yes, I'm just saying. To play football, it doesn't have to be tackle football.
Then it's rugby.
It's not rugby. Rugby's tackle too.
Pads.
You have to have 100.
He doesn't wear pads either. My point being is, you could still practice the sport and play the sport if you're not hammering somebody and tackling somebody.
Then it's not the sport.
Then it's not the sport.
It's not the sport.
It's the same. Okay.
It's not the same thing.
If you're talking about all you need is a ball, or all you need is something to kick around. You don't have nets. You don't have a goal post. You don't have the corners. There's a lot of shit you don't have. It's the same thing.
You don't need a net to play soccer. All
you know what you do? You put a
box. That's it. This is the goal post right here.
You don't need to hit people then with football. Just throw the ball around, run the ball around. It's 2-hand touch.
In soccer, you know what you say? You play in the street and you say, okay, it's between this spot on the cement, this spot on the cement, and you kick a rock. That's what you can do. You can just pick up a rock in the street and play soccer.
Yeah. If the ball goes too high, I guess we don't have to worry about that.
You know what happens when the ball gets too high? You hit a kid named Billy Dutney right in the head, and he gushes himself just before school starts. That's what happens.
Oh, man. You should have been throwing that rock around.
It was a great. I didn't throw it. I kicked it.
And that would have helped you learn how to.
And I got air, and I hit him right here. Bang, boosh.
Oh, goodness.
It wasn't on purpose, of course. It just happens when you're when you're a finely tuned athletic machine.
Yeah.
Those type of things happen.
Yeah, sure they do.
I'm just saying, TJ, you're wrong. Football is way more expensive to play than other sports.
Way more.
I'd say baseball's even cheaper.
Baseball's cheaper too.
What the fuck are you talking about? Baseball's not cheaper to play than football.
That's Pedro Martinez. He was pitching with his sister's baby doll heads when he started out.
This is my point. You don't. Okay, listen. He was throwing with the baby doll head. Guess what? That's not an actual ball. That's not a regulation stuff. So what's the difference between throwing a baby doll head and then throwing any sort of ball to somebody to catch? And it's like, I'm playing football. I'm playing.
No problem.
It's the same shit.
No problem. Then why do soccer players come over here to play?
Was Pedro Martinez's sister using a regulation size bat?
Shut up for a second.
Okay.
Why, when soccer players come over here to play international tournaments, when they throw a football, they can't throw it for shit, but they can throw a soccer ball in really, really well? Explain that.
They play only soccer there.
Okay. Again, this is the portion of the program where we have to educate son X when someone else is talking.
He just kept blabbing his mouth like a blabbermouth,
like you're doing right now.
String and let me speak.
You let someone explain every single show now. I think we should explain the podcast rules to son X. You let someone finish their thoughts and then you talk. That's the way it works.
Okay. You can find cheap ways to play sports. There's some sports you cannot find any cheap way to play. Guess what? You cannot find a cheap way to play hockey, right? You're gonna need ice. Either your climate allows that or it doesn't.
Street hockey, dude.
Street hockey.
If you cannot skate, that is a big. You're going to need rollerblades. What are you going to do? Play with your. This is my point. You could play any type of sport or a different version of the sport to still play it. It's a moot point. You guys aren't seeing it. That's fine.
You're just it's okay.
The Phoenix Coyotes or the Arizona Coyotes, the now going to be the Salt Lake City, who the hell knows what. They have a lot of those players where it's like, man, they've been stockpiling draft picks. They've been slowly assembling a team. They went through this process, right? They had the rebuild on top of a rebuild, right? They looked at that. The first rebuild did not work, and now they're in the rebuild on top of the rebuild. They've been getting guys like, like Connor Gecky there. You got Logan Cooley, Dylan Gunther. You had a lot of young players that are there. Josh Doan. You got a lot of young players that are there, and it's like, ooh.
You realize there's
Now
still
they're gonna be like,
you do realize they're still the 6th worst team in the NHL, right?
sure. What if I
Okay.
told you, like 20-year-old Josh Doan just got called up and he's played 9 games so far with the team and has 8 points? Like, they have a lot of young, like today, for example, Frank Nazar, who was selected at the same pick where we went ahead. The Islanders traded away their 13th overall pick for Alexander Romanov, right? He's playing on the miserable Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks are bad, but he comes up, right? He just ended the college season. He signed himself an entry-level deal. He scored a goal in his first game, right? Like, players like that are starting to come up for both of these teams, Chicago and the Arizona Coyotes alike, and they're starting to perform. And that's the thing. I'm just saying, for the Arizona Coyotes, they've had a lot of early, and I mean really early, draft selections. And maybe some of those guys work out. Some of them are showing glimpses that they can. And I'm just saying, it just stinks for Arizona that they saw so many bad years and they went through that last portion of the rebuild, and they're going to be moving.
I guess the thing with football is you never have, when you play it when you're a young kid, though, you don't have 11 on 11. You don't have a bunch of offensive linemen. It's like, it's different. And maybe it's a glorified 7-on-7 at best. And you have to have football.
And we sure as hell know that people who perform well in 7-on-7s don't always perform well out there on the field.
I thought we moved on from this. I was
was
just talking about the Arizona Coyotes and wrapping up this topic to move on to the next thing. But Grumpy, that's fine. That's fine. Let's look at here some of the comments we have here. Your idol has serious issues.
It says your idolo has serious.
I assume that's a typo. I assume it means your idol has, because I'm not sure. Idolo is not a word, but your idol has serious issues. Now, here's the thing. When you change your name on YouTube, I think you can only change it once a week. So he'll be stuck with your idolo has serious issues for at least a week. Alex Monroe will. But I'll tell you this much.
Oh, my goodness.
That week in the Monroe household.
TJ slams number 1 Monroe boy. Number 1, he slams him.
I'll say I'll slam number 2, but I'm like, it's been a rough week for the Monroe boys, right? You look at it. Al, a big Liverpool fan, takes any chance he can to shit on me and the little Burnley Claret squad I support.
He does.
They got beat 3-0 in Europa League, and then this morning, they lost 1-0 to Crystal Palace. And remember how I said the Jurgen Klopps and the Liverpool losers always find a way to choke it down the stretch? Remember when I said that? This is the choking I'm talking about. That
Ozzy Osbourne's coming out here singing "Crazy Train" right now.
Arsenal also lost today.
That's Eric Monroe.
Manchester City right on top, as we
said.
Man City, they have so much depth. They have so much freaking money. They've built their second squad is better than the bottom table Premier League's team's first squad. Just that simple. Yeah, it is.
Their
second squad is so freaking good, Grumpy. The guys that come off the bench could be starters on the majority of these bad teams. They just are.
Okay, some can. Some can't. I'm not saying they're not a good team. I mean,
like Jack Grealish, he's off the bench.
No, he's a starter.
Jack Grealish is a starter.
You're wrong. Starter.
Absolutely.
So you're
starts every game. Julian Alvarez, yes, I agree with Julian Alvarez.
Julian Alvarez starts.
He's off the bench.
20 games.
He's
on the bench. He starts sometimes. Sometimes he's on the bench. Jack Grealish is not a start every game. That's just wrong.
He starts in Champions League every game. Every week.
Every time I put it on, he's a starter. The guy who I think's done really well for them this year, and Phil Foden. X doesn't like him. I think Phil Foden's been outstanding this year.
Sure.
Outstanding. And how old is he? But that's the progression, right? Here's the thing. It's between them and Real Madrid who the best team in the world is. I think it's Man City right now because of Real Madrid's lacking a little bit up top, a true finisher. And I think that's the biggest issue that Real Madrid has this year. That'll be solved, of course, in the offseason when Mbappe comes.
Real quick, just to say, Jack Grealish did not start Saturday when they played against Luton Town. But again, Phil Foden did start.
The worst team in the league.
Yeah, well, not the worst team. They're the third worst team, and they might not get relegated.
TJ would know.
Yeah, they're only
Whoa,
they're only 1 point for safety. They're 1 point from safety. So
Burnley?
no, Luton Town.
What about Burnley? How close are they to not be relegated?
They're going to get relegated. They're as good as relegated. You could just say, just you blow a lot of late game leads and
So
you can't hold. They're going to get relegated.
Would it be same to say if they were playing horse, they'd have regulate E on there and they're just waiting for the D to drop
What?
to send them back down? Like you never play horse?
Yeah, well, yeah. If you're saying horse, they got HORS and they're waiting to get the E and then they're going down.
I was going to say, why not just spell regulate the E and then just wait for the D to drop?
Relegate. You said that. Relegated. You said
So I have a question. Is it better to hold your fist up at a player or to hold the player by the throat?
Anyway, here's the thing. It's a sad week in the Monroe boys household because the Liverpool losers are they're finding ways to lose. I'd say, right? Rashid Rice turned himself in, multiple felony charges facing for hit and run. Ooh, not looking good for him. Not looking good for those Kansas City Chiefs. Anyway, he says here, the more they did.
In Rashid Rice's defense, he was only going 119 in the 70 zone.
He was 119 miles an hour.
119 miles an hour when he hit that car.
What's up with wide receivers?
What's up with family?
Yeah, what's up with wide receivers wanting to drive 120 plus miles an hour?
They're fast.
Hey, play fast, live fast.
Right, there you go.
At least I'll tell you one thing. The big boys like Jordan Davis, they're not maybe flying 120 miles an hour. They're just racing on the back streets and drag racing and killing teammates. At least they're not going 120 plus miles an hour. 120 miles an hour. Wow.
Okay. Could we just read the comment here?
Yes. This is a topic we have for today, too, though. The more they dig, the worse it gets for Ohtani's interpreter. $16 million. Are we just halfway through the iceberg? Now, what has happened since the last time I guess we'd covered it, right? Originally, it was supposed to be $4 million, right? He moved $4 million. It was without Ohtani's knowledge. Ooh, remember that happened. Well, guess what?
Don't understand that.
Here's the thing. We'll share our opinions. Yes, but this is right by Jeff Passan reported here. It says he's been charged with stealing more than $16 million for Shohei Ohtani, according to federal investigators. Now, I'll say this. Do you remember at first when this originally broke? They were talking, him and his buddy, him and his interpreter, like, oh, yeah, it's not a big deal. It just accidentally happened, something like that. It wasn't a big deal. First off, it went from that. Then how did it go, Grumpy? It went like this was not a big deal. It was just a mix up. We sent money to the wrong place. And then it was, no, he stole $4 million from me. And he's fired. Now it's $16 million. Let me ask you this.
I just have a question.
How do you think $16 million, like I didn't notice I was missing $16 million out of my bank account?
That's what I don't get, number one. I mean, maybe he has so much money, but now this guy, supposedly this Misahara fella is broke, right?
Who the hell knows? It just sounds all like bullshit.
Okay, but he put up a $25,000 bond. I mean,
$25 million?
No, 25,000.
That's it? 25,000?
That's it.
Yes.
What does it say? I mean,
his bond was only $25,000 for stealing $16 million. Yes. Is that a fucking joke?
And would you not consider him a flight risk?
What? So hold on, back this up. Misaharu has allegedly stolen $16 million from Shohei Ohtani. $16 million. Right? Maybe he's used it. Maybe he's transferred. Who the hell knows what else we're going to figure out about this? And his bond was posted at $25,000. That's it?
That's it. I'm like, wow, that's a really low bond. And would you not consider him a flight risk?
Seeming that, yes, he's from a different country and maybe he flies back to Japan and says, I'm never setting foot in the United States again, so they can't prosecute. I don't know. If I'm facing charges of $16 million, I assume I'm not going to get a slap on the wrist. I assume that's going to miss some time. I'm going to spend some time in the clink.
I don't even do you see the outrage from Shohei Ohtani when they talk about this?
Not at
Towards
all.
this guy, it just seems like none. I'm just like, yeah, he releases one statement and that's it.
Let me ask you this. If
Yeah.
somebody stole $16 million from you
I'd
and
be
sent it
pissed.
to a bookie because of illegal gambling, would you just be like, well, yeah, well, that's just the cost of doing business. I was underpaying him for his service to translate my words, but the 16 million that he stole from me, whatever. I guess it is what it is. How shitty of a gambler does Matsuhara have to be to freaking blow through $16 million?
You mean
That's
Shohei
another
Ohtani, don't you?
Oh yeah, I get them mixed up. Yeah, because it's gonna be Shohei Ohtani, but it's just like the more and more they uncover, the more and more I'm like, this does not pass the
Well,
smell test. But
they-
the MLB will do anything they can to avoid this.
They released some of the stuff that he was gambling, the actual bets that he put down. It was between he had some bets that were for $42,000, and then he had one that was for $10, and people were like, I want to know what the $10 bet was. Yeah, but I mean, he was betting 42 grand at a time.
Still,
Okay, even if you're drafting 42 grand at a time, it takes a long time to get to 16 million.
Yeah,
you
no,
have
I
to
agree.
lose all of these gambles as well. You're blowing through $16 million. If you're winning some of your bets, that means, okay, I'm able to bet the winnings back into it again. He blew through $16 million.
How many bets would that be?
He lost.
Let's do the math.
Million, assuming he did not win a single bet. Hold on a second. Oh my gosh, math time on the Islanders or on the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show. Hold on,
16 million. Do you know how much? That's a 1-6 and then 0-0-0.
So that would require him to have lost $42,000 bets each time. And some were definitely less than that.
Yes.
But if he bet 42,000, he would have had to have lost 380 plus bets in a row.
That's like Phil's facts. Making a sick, he gets everything. He's betting 1,000 for that, getting everything wrong that many times. It's hard.
Grumpy, I cannot wait for you to be on Twitter.
Oh!
I can't wait for you to be on Twitter.
I'm just going to use TJ's Twitter account.
No, we're not. That's good though. You're going to have your own Grumpy. It's going to be called the Grumpy Old Man.
That's name is probably taken.
No, no. You could just be calling yourself T-Gom. Your username could be something else, but your name on Twitter could be the same as somebody's. Your name could be the same, but your user ID cannot, or username cannot.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was the big development there. Oh, it wasn't 4 million that I didn't notice. It was 16. Here's the thing. Do you never think he's like, I thought I had more money than what the I see the amount going in. I know kind of what I spent. I thought I should have around this. Here's the other question I have. Does somebody not watch over his accounts? That's like, hey, Shohei,
an accountant?
Account any of that shit. An accountant when he's filing his it's tax season. An accountant where he's filing his taxes is like,
what happened to this missing 16 million?
some financial professional, somebody is like, hold on, I'm seeing that there's a lot of this transfers going. I'm like, what? I don't know.
Would you not go? And I'm sure that Shohei Ohtani probably has a money guy, right?
I assume.
And you see him. I mean, what does he do? Like when he was wiring it to the guy, what was it, 4 million supposedly? Wouldn't you? Oh yeah, sure, no problem. I'll cover your 4 million in gambling debts, no problem. I mean, he's either the most altruistic guy you've ever met, this Shohei Ohtani, or something's rotten in Denmark.
Here's the other thing, real quick, before we get to this comment here. If he's wiring money, we talked about this briefly last time. They're not going to let somebody, Grumpy, I couldn't go and say, I'm going to wire money for the Grumpy Old Man. Hey, don't worry, bank. Trust me. I'm taking care of it for the Grump. Don't you worry. I'm wiring all Grumpy's money right to my account. Grumpy would have to be able to do that. They're not just going to let me go.
You have to sign off on it. Yeah,
exactly. So it's just like that doesn't. There's none of this shit's passing the sniff test. And now that we went from 4 million to 16, I'm like, hold on. They should not be letting him play baseball right now. I like Shohei Ohtani. They should. They've restricted players from playing and blackballed players for much less. This is possibly a $16 million gambling scandal that the star of the league is embroiled in. Andrew L says, "Oh, go ahead, Grump."
Okay, I'm just reading the comment. We'll read it, and we're going to do some more math. Okay, it all came out that from 2021 to 2024, and 2024 is just how many days in, right? Maybe
4 months, not even.
Let's say 100. So let's take 100 and 730, right? Is it 730? How many days is it?
What are you talking about?
365 a year. I just want to figure out how many bets were made, how many per day he would have to make to get 19,000 bets. Just take 365 plus 365 plus 100.
Hold on. Here's the thing, Grumpy. If you're talking about it, let's assume he started the January 1st of 2021.
Right.
And we'll look at it for every single day so far in 2020 and 2024. That is, let's say, roughly 1,195 days is what we're looking at there, Grumpy.
Let's say 1,100 days. Let's just say 1,100.
Okay, gotcha. So that's at least 17.3 bets, 17.27 bets a day.
How does he have time to do any interpreting work for Shohei Ohtani?
An average bet of $12,000 a bet.
I'm baffled. It's baffling to me.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, the more and more that comes out, the more and more that I'm like, this does not look correct.
Something's not right.
I don't care.
There's way more to it than we know right now.
Here's the thing. Do you think if Tom Brady was like, oh, I'm missing $16 million, you think Tom Brady, if he was missing $16 million, would be like, oh, I didn't even notice I was missing $16 million. What?
Well, he was married to that big hand harpy for a long time. She had her grubby little paws all over your money, Tommy boy.
She made more money than him, Grump.
Here you go. Rick Rock, Grumpy.
Hey, guys. Reports suggest that no Dobson at Islanders practice day. Heard anything of this? Signed, slightly concerned.
I don't know. From at least sources that we had heard, sources from a source we trust from one of their potentially trusted sources said he'll be good to go around playoff time. Who the hell knows? I'm not putting any weight in that source at this moment until more comes out. I don't know. Noah Dobson. I think they pretty much have it locked in. They've a 95% chance to make the postseason.
If the Islanders don't make the playoffs, they might as well just everyone's got to go.
Move the franchise to Kansas City.
Oh,
anyway, Gungun Grump.
Gungun says, "Are the Mets finally coming to life? Son X, are you close to taking a wife?"
Yep.
No,
I believe Son X is looking at a venue next weekend.
Yep.
You're gonna know when it's gonna be X that you're gonna have this wedding.
Well, we have to see what availability they have first.
So. You've already picked the venue.
Well, no, we're looking at a couple.
They've not picked the venue. They haven't visited any venue. He's only been engaged for since like October of last year. Dude, you should be looking at venues.
All righty. X, you know what? Maybe you can follow the way Grumpy did. Grumpy was engaged for like 15 billion years before he got married.
5. Warden says otherwise. Warden says it was 5.
Joseph G said here, I still think the NHL wants to go to 40 teams eventually. They'll add Arizona back. Bring back Atlanta, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Houston, etc. Jesus Christ.
I think Kansas City is a good location. Houston would be good.
Atlanta's failed time and time again.
Yeah, I'm like a big no on Atlanta.
No.
What about Charlotte? What about Charlotte? I live in Charlotte. It's a bigger population base than they have in Raleigh. I'm going to tell you that much.
And they could literally play the games at the Spectrum Center.
Tell me that wouldn't be a rivalry. Hurricanes against the Charlotte whatevers.
Charlotte Crusade, baby.
Charlotte Comets.
The Charlotte Comets.
Your Idolo has serious. See, I think it's a Ronaldo thing. Idolo. I think that's what it is. Wrexham promoted to the EFL League, 1 division, 3rd best tier in English football. Beautiful story for Ryan Reynolds and company. Leverkusen claimed the Bundesliga title with a win today. Big party going on there.
That's the first time. Oops, sorry.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question, X. When was the last time that Bayern Munich did not win the Bundesliga?
They won the last 11 years straight. This is the first time Leverkusen has ever won.
Okay, Think about it. They've clinched with like 8 games to go. They've clinched it.
Yep.
Xavi Alonso is a great coach. He's got a good
and
cast.
They had Harry Kane. Bundesliga or Bayern had Harry Kane.
He's never won a title ever.
Yep. He's like kryptonite. Anytime you want to win and he's on your roster, you're not winning shit. Wrexham, I hate that fucking squad. I hate it.
Why?
I hate Wrexham. Absolutely.
I don't mind Wrexham.
Simple as this. It's because
they take views away from Burnley.
No, they don't. Ryan Reynolds and that other fucking clown go buy the team. They go ahead and use some connections to have additional reported revenue so they could go ahead and have substantially more income than every other team around them in that spot. and then they go ahead and plump that. Here's the thing: they're going to invest in their squad anyway. They bought it, but it's a way for them to skate past the financial fair play rules, and they're able to report, hey, we're able to work this deal out to get the inner workings here. We signed this deal. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fucking fan of it. I'm not a fan of these freaking celebrities owning teams. I'm not a fan of that.
I think TJ's just jealous.
I'm not a fan of fucking Wrexham. I hope that team gets relegated to obscurity. That's what I hope from Wrexham Football Club.
TJ's just pissed that JJ Watt owns Burnley. That's why.
I hate him too. I wish he would freaking sell his ownership and freaking pack up and leave town. Get the hell out of town, JJ Watt. I don't want you being a part of my club. See you later.
Now wasn't Wrexham like a 5th division team?
Yeah,
last year?
5th or 6th, something like that.
Whatever, they're 5th. They got promoted to 4th, and now they're going to be going to the EFL 1.
And I remember when Ryan Reynolds and the other guy is who's on Always Sunny. He plays Mac.
Yeah.
On Always Sunny in Philadelphia. What's his name? X? Do you know? Can you look that up?
Can't think of his name. Hold on, I'll tell you in a second.
Look it up. These two guys bought Wrexham, and they had some good ideas. And the powers that be,
Rob McElhaney,
right? Thank you. The powers that be in the 5th division, they wanted to put more eyeballs on the 5th division, and all the powers that be in the 5th division said, no, we don't want that. And to me, it was baffling to Reynolds and Rob, because I just couldn't believe they didn't want more eyeballs on their product.
They're not trying to put more eyeballs on the product.
They were.
Trust me, they're not. The 5th division is non-professional football. You know that, right? That is the top 4 are professional. When you get relegated past that point, it's non-professional. It's not professional associated with that FA Cup. It's no longer associated. So when you fall to the 5th, like the National League is what they call it, when you fall to that level, you're out. Simples. So again, they had what?
X, who used to play in the 5th division? There was a player for
Jamie Vardy.
Jamie Vardy
used to play in the 8th division.
Yeah,
first
in the 8th division.
But these guys are getting paid.
Okay, you want to know how much he was getting paid, like, per game?
They have full-time jobs.
I think it was like $100 a game.
Grumpy, they don't get paid really much. And here's the thing. They come in and they just went ahead and fucked up the pay scale, and they said, great, we could go ahead, pay this, pay that, we're replacing this, replacing that. And it's really easy when you're talking about what's the level of entry if a guy comes in and spends, right? The owners of that tier are down here with the amount of actual cash they have, where the owners of Ryan Reynolds, who owns whatever, Mint Mobile, you see all the commercials with, and Rob McElhaney, they come in, and what they did was they said, great, we're going to have a few of our buddies give us some money so that we could go ahead and use that on the team, and they get, I'm just, no, fuck them.
What do they call it? A little injection of funds. Little injection of funds to boost the club up.
I don't understand why you're running 2 men down who all they want to do, they obviously like soccer. They are trying to grow the sport. They want Wrexham to be successful.
They're trying to grow the sport. They're trying to grow the sport of soccer.
They're trying to make money.
Please, Grumpy.
I mean, you're ripping on the fact that that Ryan Reynolds has T-Mobile. He owns T-Mobile.
It's Mint Mobile. He's in the process of selling Mint Mobile. Okay. What he did in Mint Mobile is the same shit he's doing here.
Okay, but
same shit.
So the guy's a successful businessman. What's the problem?
He's a successful businessman. I do not like how people, like you just said earlier, are coming in. Oh, he's almost looking altruistic. He's trying to grow the sport. Oh, he's trying to do a favor to all those guys down there at the bottom. He's not trying to do any of that shit. And I hate when people say that because it's so fucking wrong and it makes me hate them. If people were just honest about it, I wouldn't care. But they're not.
High tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
He wants to put eyeballs on the team he owns. It only helps everybody. If you see, oh, well, hey, this guy at Rex is pretty good, but look who they played. They played Jamie Smiglak over here, and he's really good.
Jamie Smiglak. My fantasy team name is going to be Jamie Smiglak now.
But more eyes are going to be on Jamie Smedlak. I mean, because high tide lifts all boats. I think there's nothing wrong with them owning the team. I mean, they've owned it for 3 years now. Good for them. Maybe he wants to get in Premier League. I don't see what the problem is. I really don't. I think
that team is going to fail if they make it to Premier League.
I hope they get relegated.
Maybe they will. Maybe they won't.
I hope they get relegated.
You mean like Burnley?
Yeah. I wish a worse fate to them than I do Burnley.
Hey, TJ, don't worry. Burnley can be EFL champs once again, baby. They'll get next year to do that.
You know what? and then come back up next year after that, back in the 2025-2026 season, and shock the Premier League. Let's go, baby. I'm fine with that. And I can add to my championship books.
Joseph B says the NHL wants to go to markets that can expand the sport. Canada might go Quebec back, but there are not many places in Canada to expand to. I mean, I bet you Hamilton could support a team.
Grumpy, you want all these Canadian teams.
I have no problem with the Canadian cities getting hockey teams because guess what? It's their national sport. No problem at all.
It's like the same thing. Nobody's going to go to the games if people don't like the sport.
Right. I'm not saying that we should put a team up in Thunder Bay and Moose Jaw, but Quebec City and Hamilton, they're big cities. Toronto squashed Hamilton for an expansion team because they said they're too close to Toronto. You know what? You should be doing what's best for the sport. Moving a team to Utah is not a growth market.
I think it is.
Not.
I don't.
Alrighty, next guy.
We should do a poll. We should put a poll out and say how many people live in Utah enjoy hockey.
So he says Winnipeg is struggling to sell tickets for what it's worth. Yes, they are. If you look at their attendance for as well as they've played this year, their attendance.
Do you know why they're struggling to sell tickets? Because Winnipeg is a fucking dump. That's why. It's not a great place to live.
Okay, people still live in Winnipeg, and the Canadians live around there. The majority of Canadians live all within like that. They live very, very close to the U.S. border.
Toronto is the big market for everything. Big economy there is Toronto. Winnipeg is not.
Winnipeg. How many people do you think live in Winnipeg?
I mean, there's a good amount of people who live.
I don't know. Look it up. How many people live in Winnipeg? Look it up. Ask Alexa.
I'm just saying,
how many people live in Winnipeg.
The economy is not great in Winnipeg, which explains why they probably struggle to sell tickets.
In the 2017 census, they have 749,534 people in the 2017 census. So maybe that's increased, maybe it hasn't.
And what, 740,000 of that 749 are hockey fans?
Hey, do you know how big Edmonton is? Edmonton has great attendance. 981,000 people live in Edmonton.
Look up the economies for both of those two cities.
They're all the big cities that are in that area. Winnipeg.
Again, look up the average income for a citizen in both of those cities.
Listen. We're not jumping down and doing this stupid bullshit.
But here's the thing: it makes a difference. It makes a difference when you're talking about people shelling out money to go to sporting events.
Fail is because their fan base expects a lot from the team, and when the fan base doesn't get what they want, they don't support them with their dollars. So that's why they move. Simple as that.
What we've learned today is Son X is very business savvy, and TJ is not.
Son X hates Winnipeg is what it sounds like. Son X must have had somebody, maybe his old roommate used to be from Winnipeg, and he fucking hates him, is what it kind of sounds like to me. X is shitting all over. I've never been to Canada. I've never been to Winnipeg, but X to be so vehemently opposed to saying Winnipeg's a dump. I've never set foot.
I know somebody who lives there. That's why I know that it's a dump.
X, you've never been to Winnipeg.
I know somebody who lives there. That's why I know that it's a dump.
It's a dump, he says.
Yeah. Here you go. Alex Monroe.
Jason Sudeikis, a repetitive fangirl in attendance for several Iowa women's basketball games this season, gifted Caitlin Clark her own AFC Richmond jersey. Believe that didn't cost him anything.
Yeah. You know what? I'll tell you this much.
You know what? Here's the thing. I am openly rooting for Caitlin Clark now. I didn't while she was playing in Iowa, but I've been listening to all these WNBA players from that failed NBA-sponsored Friends and Family League rip on Caitlin Clark. She's going to be the biggest thing to hit the WNBA.
Yeah.
People will go watch her play. And you listen to the jealousy of these other scabs who play in that league. I mean, I learned something else this week. I don't know if it's appropriate for the show. But most of the women who play in the WNBA, and I had no idea, I don't really care, they're mostly gay. And supposedly there's a backlash because she's a straight woman. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that.
I don't know about that. We're not gonna touch on that magma hot take by you. But what we're gonna do here is this. I will say that I didn't care for her one way or the other. I thought she absolutely flopped. And, it's kind of cool to make fun. She is getting a lot more hate, though, probably than what she deserves. And here's the thing. I don't dislike her. I don't really care anything at all about her. She scored a lot of points. Congratulations. I will say what you said is right. The amount of these people that were even like in the national championship game kind of shitting on her out. Oh, this isn't going to be college. It's going to be way different in the WNBA. This, that, and the other. I'm like, man, they did sound like jealous fucking bastards is exactly what they sounded like. I've never heard an NBA player talk about a guy who's coming up to be drafted, and they never said, hey, guess what? Guess what there, Jalen Brunson? Guess what? Oh shit, who the hell is that? The Duke product there for the Boston Celtics.
Jason Tatum.
Guess what, Jason Tatum? This isn't like college. You're gonna have to get ready for this. We're gonna be in your face all night. I'm like, you'd never see LeBron James saying some shit like that. Hey, best of luck to you. We're focused on this. I'm like, they did sound like petty. They sound like petty motherfuckers on the telecast. It's like, that's ridiculous.
Okay, what should the WNBA higher ups be saying to these women?
You want to try to promote our sports so we could go ahead and get a lot. She's captured a lot of this college fan base and college enthusiasm. We want to try to carry that over so more people watch our games. So let's try to say how we're excited about how she's coming to join us and play basketball with us.
You look at, they should be saying to them, you realize you're complaining about you're not getting equal pay with the men, even though you draw nothing to these games. Except your mom and dad show up and a couple of, your friends. But here's the thing. This girl here could elevate attendance. Guess what? With elevated attendance means more money in your pocket. It's almost like it's like, how dumb are you? I mean, it's like, come on. This woman can put more fannies in the seats.
And they don't know how good she is. I will tell you, I watched the national championship game. I'm like, holy shit. Missing layups, I'm like, it was like they were trying to catch up at that point, but I'm like, yikes. It didn't look good for her. I was like, oof. Yeah, I watched the last like 7-8 minutes. I'm like, oof. I'm like, just drive down the court, miss layup. Drive down the court, chuck shot. I'm like, okay. I'm not going to pass judgment. Go ahead, X.
Now, I do want to say something. I looked up the average household income for somebody who lives in Winnipeg and then somebody who lives in Edmonton. Average household income for Winnipeg, $89,975. That's before taxes. Average household income for somebody who lives in Edmonton, $121,620. That's before taxes. So you tell me why more people go to the games in Edmonton than go to the games in Winnipeg.
If you're trying to say that they're priced out because people don't have money in Winnipeg, that's just wrong. The fan base does not support the team.
I'll tell you.
I just proved you wrong.
Can I just tell you why people in Edmonton buy the tickets? Because they got Connor McDavid on their team.
That's correct. And guess what? Like for Vancouver, you look at all of they have other areas in Canada that are not the Hamilton Bulldogs. You keep saying you could pick out any team in juniors. They have fan base. Their fan bases are local. They support their local teams. They have a big impact. It reminds me a little bit. I've never been to Canada, but what I think it would remind me of is the same way it is in UK. You support your local team that's near you. They have so many local teams because it is their sport. The UK, they play soccer and rugby and cricket. Those are the sports they play over there. But it's like they support their local team.
So
the Canadians are supporting their local teams.
Then why don't the Carolina Panthers sell out every game? We had the number 1 draft pick in the NFL last year. We couldn't even sell tickets.
Because Carolina does not have a good fan base.
What do you mean? It's United States sports in the U.S. It's located in the U.S.
They do. Carolina is a whole bunch of the entire state's stock full of fair weather fans for basketball, for football, for the minor league baseball team, right? The Hurricanes, when things are going great, everything's good. If that team's not good, Raleigh doesn't have crazy attendance in supporting the Carolina Hurricanes. The North Carolina fans are fair weather fans. Simple as that. They just are. Anyway, Joseph Seagrup.
I think you're wrong.
I am fine with more teams. Vegas got to 2 Cups finals in 6 years. Seattle made the playoffs the second year. It's whatever.
I think it does maybe at some point water down the product. But JP, Grumpy.
The sad truth is that the greedy owners know that Canadians will watch the sport both in person and on TV, no matter how much their teams lose. That's why Bettman expands in the U.S. almost exclusively. There you go.
I disagree.
Okay.
That's fine. Here you go.
Alex Monroe says, Joey Jaws Chestnut at Old Miss spring football game this past weekend, throwing down some glizzies. Ole Miss football players also playing flag football game, the game dunk contest. Entertaining take on spring football games. Well, it doesn't sound like it's a spring football game then.
It's an event. They're just trying to make it, whatever. Here's the thing. I like Lane Kiffin as a coach. I think, right? I always liked him. I thought he's more of a college coach. He was not a good NFL coach. Much better college coach. He's a guy who rallies people. He's a recruiter. He's a salesman. He is all that type of stuff. And that's just, I guess, what they're going to do. So good for them, I guess. Goon Grump.
Let's see a show of hands concerning who thinks the Islanders cut the crap and win tomorrow night and clinch it, or do they pull a Mets Jets and flub it?
I think they clinch.
They clinch.
I think
Even if they lose, I think they clinch. I think there's no way they don't make the postseason.
Same.
You know why I think they're going to clinch? I'll tell you
that.
why.
Tell us. that.
TJ wanted them to not clinch so bad.
Oh,
That's what it was. And
Yeah.
whenever you really want something to happen really, really badly, usually the opposite happens.
Here's the thing. I want change. It's not going to happen by squeaking into the postseason and get beat in the first round, because there's still a section of the fan base who's going to say, oh, wow, I'm happy we made the playoffs. I'm still going to support and buy tickets and buy jerseys and support this team. No, sorry.
I'm happy they made the playoffs. You know what? I think I'm going to go out and buy a couple of jerseys right now.
ooh.
Playoff patch on there.
Go ahead, X. Well, there's no such thing as a playoff patch, but if you go ahead and get
I'll
a
get one. I'll make a playoff patch and put it on
There
there.
you go.
most
I'll
teams
stitch a
actually
playoff
have
patch.
most teams have high expectations, and they don't award you for finishing 16th out of 32 teams.
You know,
I'm so
most,
confident. I'm going to get a Stanley Cup patch and put it on there for this year because I know they're going to make it.
Get
most-
a tattoo real quick of a Stanley Cup. Go
Yep.
ahead.
most teams, they hang up banners when they win a Stanley Cup or a conference championship. The Islanders are starting to hang banners that says playoffs made.
First
Playoff
round
wins.
exit.
2 postseason wins. They actually hang up a banner for every single postseason win they get.
That's
Drew L. Grumpy.
just clinched the second seed and beat the Boston Celtics while they were fully healthy. The New York effing Knicks.
Ooh.
Yeah, Boston. I mean, Boston's got the best record in the league. They've got a home court throughout. I think they threw a bone to
They're resting guys.
They are. They absolutely are resting guys. Absolutely, they are.
JP.
I don't know if they're tough enough to win, but they certainly have the best team in the league. Doesn't mean you win a championship, though. For the Celtics, it would be a failure if they don't win the championship. They're by far the best team in the league. JP says, the NHL is a strange animal. The original 6 to this day still generate the lion's share of revenue, which is split during the playoffs with all the owners.
Yep.
There you go.
Here you go. JP also.
Grumpy, did you play sewers growing up in Long Island? Stoop ball, stick ball? Did not play stoop ball or stick ball, but we created our own games in the street. Like I said, we play football in the street, and it was 2-hand touch, borderline tackle. But you know what you never saw? You never saw guys taking it over the middle and getting hammered. Mostly they were all the passes for the outside. So guys like Jalen Daniels would be really, really good in the street ball game. I'll tell you. And we used to play. You want to know what our touchdown was? It was goalpost to goalpost. I'm sorry, telephone pole to telephone pole. That's what it was. And we play out there. You see a car coming, you get off the side of the road. That's what it was.
I do want to put this up real quick. I have a few baseball clips to show. We were speaking of the Mets earlier. I don't know if you guys had a chance to catch this. The Kansas. Now, I think the Mets came back and won today's game. But
did.
the Royals at this time period.
This is not today's game. This is not today's game.
I'm sorry. This is yesterday's game. That's correct.
How catches ever hit. He's got him picked off, and now he's in a rundown. Lindor turns around and
Whoa!
I saw that. Yeah, that was nuts.
Hampson somehow got around Lindor.
It looked like he was out of the base path. We're very, very close to it, right?
Catching the somewhat errant throw by Alonso, and Hampson is able to slip through and steal the base. Wow.
Well, let's take a look at the throw is what it's all about. It just took Lindor out of
Whoa.
position and really crafty.
May shifted
base
him.
running.
What the fuck, Lindor?
He's
Look
been
at that.
playing slot receiver.
Who the hell is this guy who's running right here? What position does this guy play here for the Blue?
Let's take a
for
look
the
at the
for the Blue
throw
Jays?
is what it's all
Or, I'm
about.
sorry,
It
for the
just
Royals.
took
Royals, I don't know.
It's probably like a second baseman or shortstop.
Lindor out
Or-
of
or-
position.
yeah.
And
He's not a
really
shortstop.
crafty base running.
That's
He looks a
about
little
it.
thick.
That's-
That's what I was saying. He looks a little thick.
It's Bo Bichette is their shortstop.
He's maybe Bo Bichette plays for Toronto.
I thought that is
Bobby
Toronto.
Witt.
This is the Royals. This is the Royals.
Oh, I thought he said
Royals.
Toronto.
I screwed up words, so I said
My bad.
Toronto.
You said Toronto Blue Jays.
He looks like, I bet she's an outfielder.
He could be.
He might be a second baseman, but here's the thing. He's not the first shortstop or third base. I know that. He's not the catcher. He might be an outfielder or maybe a second baseman. Blanco is his name. No, he's
Garrett
a shortstop
Hampson.
for sure.
Garrett Hampson is his name.
Hampson. Well, he's a second baseman. Garrett Hampson's a second baseman.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like, my God, it's just getting juked now. Now, here's the thing. I know that I think Francisco Lindor had 2 hits today or a few hits. He has been playing like complete dog shit this year. Awful. I think his batting average is like a 120 something or a 130 something. And like to see him just get undressed out there. I'm like, God almighty. I think we talked about it early when he signed that contract. He'll never, and I mean never, earn what he's getting paid.
Agreed.
And I guess to show a little bit on the Yank side here, X, real quick before you put that up. You don't like this, X. Want your opinions on
Take
this?
forever. Yeah. The Rock.
Nestor Cortez. Did you see
The
this?
Rock. He glitched through the Matrix. Yeah, I saw this one. How's this not a balk?
Nestor,
There's
How
nobody on
is it not a
base.
balk?
He never puts his foot down.
Nobody on base.
with a baseball.
I
true.
thought he was going to step off and lose his balance. He steps. He didn't touch the ground yet. Oh, there he goes.
What in the fuck is that? Thoughts on that? And do you encourage this type of nonsense? You think it's kind of fun to mix it up a little bit, or you think like, what the hell are you doing out there?
It's legal right now, but you know what? It obviously tricked the batter.
Hey, Grumpy, that's just how he's keeping his arm healthy. He just has a nice delivery like that, right? He doesn't use the spider tack. He just has a nice delivery. That's
There you
all.
go.
Keeps that arm healthy.
Anyway, I saw that. I figured you guys enjoy. Go ahead and go back to comments, Rex.
Tommy Pham to Chicago is an interesting deal, I guess. Is it? Okay.
With Tommy Pham, I'm like, how much does he have actually left in the tank?
I don't think much. He's basically a 4th outfielder now. In my opinion.
He's like a platoon guy. I mean, like, man, I just looked at him like, I was like, how old is Tommy Pham? He's 36 years old. Damn. I did not know he was 36.
Yep.
Go ahead, though. Grump.
JP says it's true hockey is tough to play and be frugal, but it was cool when I could buy Milex equipment with my paper route money. Milex stuff was pretty good considering.
Oh, thank you. I want to show you this. Speaking of the craziness, now this I think made the round. Pretty much on a national stage. Our boy Angel Hernandez was out here humping another game, baby, and he never disappoints. So let's watch.
Whoa, horse.
Got to be louder.
Wow, Angel, come on now. Yeah, this is a shame right here. This pitch is well off the plate. A little slider. 2-1. And, oh my goodness.
Well, heck, France could finish this game for Houston if he's going to get these calls.
Oh, world. My goodness.
Are we trying? Come on now.
That should have been ball 4.
2-2. You have got to be kidding me.
That's like 8 inches outside.
What in the world?
You know what everybody should do when he comes to ump one of your team's games? Just go there with glasses, big old glasses, and just make fun of him the whole time.
Okay, he couldn't even look at. He couldn't even frame it inside the plate. It was still outside even when he framed it. Anytime that Angel Hernandez thinks he should be getting a job, just show this clip to him. Dude, this is why you don't get promoted.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of because look at the score real quick. The Texas Rangers are up 8-1 with the bases loaded in the 4th inning. Angel Hernandez is like one of those youth league umpires where it's like, oh shit, this game's over. Let's just ring up a whole bunch of strikes when they're missing his own because I got to get home. I'm only being paid for 2 hours out here, so he's just out there ringing up every single ball as a strike, and he's starting to expand the strike. So it's like, all right, this game's over. It's 8-1. They're about to mercy rule, but I'm like, my God, they just awful. Go ahead though, X.
Alex Moreau says Messi saved football. We really almost let Holland, aka Ghosty, in big games touch a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, so
you know what? All you're hearing about is Leo Messi is really struggling this year, just like he struggled last year. Honestly.
And the year
before that,
he fucking sucks.
And the year before that,
he's a product of playing Barca's football and playing for that team. At the tail end with Barca,
he wasn't that good.
He was kind of starting to
tail off. That's happens when you don't have all your superstars around you. You got to perform by yourself. You can't do it.
That's exactly right. How did he play in PSG? PSG had 2 round of 16 exits with Leo Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. Neymar and Messi leave, and wow, they're back in the
round of 16
quarterfinals.
They're in the quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals. So they already are producing better without Messi. Holy crap, crazy, right?
They did before Messi, and they did better after Messi.
Don't worry, Inter Miami gets knocked out of yet again another tournament.
Well, they already gave him the story. All they needed to do was line his stats in order to win him a Ballon d'Or, and that's it. Now they don't give a shit. But it's just it's pathetic.
There's no truth to the rumor that he was playing in the street with a rock to earn last year's Ballon d'Or. No truth to that rumor. Against some school-age children.
He had 14 street ball goals that they added in there for his Ballon d'Or.
It was impressive. Those were in friendlies.
Yep. Oh, of course, friendlies. Yep. That's where he scores the most.
Brian Jack says the only team the Knicks should be worried about in the East is Boston. Even without Randall, they still have a solid chance against them. I'd be stunned if the Knicks beat Boston.
Alrighty here. We got here Saudis whipping their own players with a whip at Al Ittihad, his game this past week. Yeah, again, like I don't speak that language. I have no idea what's going on. Like I threw a stick at somebody. I've also seen like Italian clubs throw bananas at people and racial remarks. I've seen guys rush down the field in Turkish league games and start pummeling players from another team. I've seen a lot of crazy things happen at a soccer game. So throwing a stick at somebody.
I've seen players in the UCL get hit in the head with bottles and get their heads gashed open on the field. I've
seen guys in a Premier League game where a normal person went down on the pitch and punched a guy from
Jack Grealish.
Oh, wait a second. Yeah, that's right. That was Jack Grealish who got punched in the face by a random fan. I've seen during play. I've seen a lot of crazy shit happen in soccer matches. The only time nothing crazy happens is for the vanilla milquetoast MLS fans where they don't have the same heart as everybody else.
You have to have attendance for there to be something to happen.
Friends and family usually don't fight amongst one another.
That's true. It's very true.
Alex Moreau adds, over 850 private jets landed in Augusta for the Masters this week. Shortest flight came from Aiken, South Carolina, just 20 miles away.
Hey, we should worry about our carbon footprint. We shouldn't be flying as many planes or private planes. We should fly public. Anyway.
Taylor Swift, baby.
Al, that's always the funny thing is the Swift stuff. Al Monroe.
Oh, hold on. I think
this is Ryan Jack, I thought.
Give me one second.
Ryan Jack, go ahead.
On baseball, RQ. Can we talk about Anthony Volpe's breakout? Leveled his swing path and a huge reaction of whiffs.
A huge reduction of his whiffs, strikeouts, and his walks go up. He's becoming what the Yankees envisioned. Yeah, he was young. He was like 19, 20 years old last year. Even when he struggled, I'm like, you could see this guy had it. And at time periods, right, like he said, oh, yeah, I met with our batting coach and we had a meatball and spaghetti dinner or something like that and helped my swing. You could tell the kid is trying to get better and he has the right pieces. It's the reason why in our fantasy leagues, I drafted in every league we had a chance to. So, yeah, I believe in Anthony Volpe.
So was that one league?
2 leagues.
You didn't get him in the second league.
Okay, whatever it is then.
Yeah, good for him, right? He was young last year. I think he's 22. I think last year he was 20. But he's been much better this year. That's the thing with young players, right? They get better from year to year. You know who doesn't get better? Older players don't get better. They get worse.
What? So when you sign a 7-year contract, you're not going to get better by the 7th year?
Not if you sign that contract when you're like 30 years old or 29.
What? That's crazy.
Alex Monroe says Alabama, Ohio State spring football games yesterday. Saban made a speech beforehand at Denny Chimes and in suite for the game. Let the hype begin.
Yeah, I don't care at all about that. See you later, Nick Saban. Happy trails.
Spring games mean nothing.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I'd like it's man, whatever. Honestly, it was it's fun for the kids. It's fun for the people who play. That was always fun, a spring game, because it really didn't matter. You're just kind of dicking around out there, but you're trying to improve. The practices are more important than the game. The game at the end is just like, hey, you're doing it with friends and family and, some fans out there is what it was. That was it.
Drew says, Mizuhara is just like one of my former college friends. You know what they have in common? They're both shitty gamblers.
JP says here, Pete Rose wishes he had an interpreter. Got a comment here from Al saying here the 2024 Masters winnings here. Scotty Scheffler, $3.6 million. Ludwig Agberg, $2.16 million. Dave Portnoy, $1.65 million. And at fourth, you got Fleetwood, Homa, and Morikawa, $1.04 million. And this Otani Miroshora thing stinks to Mishihara. This Otani and interpreter thing stinks to high hell. Yes, it does. Tony Cheese.
You can't use the money you stole for your bond.
Frank says here, what's up, Big Three? What's up, Frank? How are you? Al says here, Al Nazir's president. I've only been scammed twice in my life. The first time was when I ordered 3 kebabs and only received 2. The second time was for signing Cristiano Ronaldo. Damn, that's bad, boys. Yeah, I don't know. I guess
we forgot the key context word alleged, which was in the article. So
it was a rumor of what somebody said the Al Nassr president said. Who the fuck knows? I've heard a lot of he said, she said.
Don't they win games? Don't they win games?
Yes, they're second in the league as well. I'm like,
where were they before he got there?
I don't know.
I guarantee he wasn't second.
Non-existent. Nobody even knew who Al Nassr was before he got there.
They didn't even know that Saudi Arabia had a league. That's
okay. Drew L. Grumpy.
I can tell you one thing. This podcast can count better than Mars Buttermaker's ex-girlfriend, Amanda. Amanda was not Buttermaker's ex-girlfriend. Amanda was the 11-year-old played by Tatum O'Neal in Bad News Bears.
Oh God!
It was Amanda's mother that she wound up that he was dating back in the day, not Amanda. And what was the rest of it? I'm sorry. What was the rest?
Hey, your grump.
I don't think her counting skills would have been too much to use since she got a D in math.
Ex-girlfriend. Oh God. Teacher be thrilled to hear that I picked up Beatty in the fantasy baseball. Brett Beatty. Batty. Brett Batty. Brett Batty. Here you go. Joseph C said here the FBI already cleared Tani supposedly. Wow.
It takes them. You find a case against people they don't like, and they're digging that shit in there for 5 years. Shohei Ohtani gets cleared in 15 minutes. Stop.
I cannot believe that.
Full stop.
Oh my God. Please.
He's a cash cow for the MLB. That's what it is.
I'll tell you one thing. If that's the case, I'll be rooting against him the rest of his career.
And Wells says he fell into a debt of more than $40 million, not joking, reported by the feds. Well, okay. What is the other $26 million? He don't make that much.
Who the hell in their right mind was approving a guy who was getting a $500,000 a year salary for $40 million of potential line of credit with these gamblers? Absolute full stop. You know what? I hope the more that this comes out, Shohei Ohtani never plays another game of baseball before in his life. The more and more this shit comes out.
It just doesn't pass the smell test. Doesn't.
He's going to receive special treatment, and I like him. I think he's a fantastic player. We think talent-wise better than Babe Ruth. But I'm just like, this is just absolutely absurd what they're going to do, and they're just going to try to sweep this shit under the rug. Joel says, free Trevor Bauer. Yes, he says, absolutely. All I know is that the Yankees look like the best team in baseball right now. It's crazy what happens when Cashman actually does his job for once.
It's crazy when you bring in a guy like Juan Soto, and it just makes your whole team better.
Soto.
The Juan Soto time.
Giancarlo Stanton isn't playing like garbage this year is what's helping. Yeah. He go. Al
he's down in the order now.
Al says here, speaking of Kansas City, did we see that Messi packed 72,000 plus into Arrowhead Stadium yesterday to put on a show for him, an insane assist and a nice screamer from outside the box? Yeah, congratulations. He's scored a goal and assist in the MLS.
Did they lose?
I'm not sure. Ooh, I don't know. I do know that the big tournament they were in, that they were trying to. Oh yeah,
They lost that tournament. They got knocked out.
yeah, they got.
Just to let you know, they lost.
Yeah.
I don't know if
You're
they lost
outta
this game,
here.
but they lost in that tournament. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, I just here's the thing. They had 72,000. So now we're bragging about how many people are in attendance.
Actually, they said that Taylor Swift was in the area and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce came out to do a halftime show.
All three of them, huh?
Mhm.
Oh, here you go. Here you go, Grumpy Al.
Alex Moreau says TJ hates JJ Watt, but Burnley hasn't lost a game since Watt was in attendance at Burnley's games, which has been around 5 games or so. Alex, don't use the word games 3 times in one sentence. Seems like a good thing to me.
Yeah, he blows. I hate JJ Watt. I wish he would sell any sort of he you know what, it's the same shit. Because he loves going on the Pat McAfee show, and they love to, here's the thing, it's good for our club, it's good for the recognition of our club. Oh yeah, they talk about Burnley Football Club, but that son of a bitch pretends like he's parading around like he's an actual owner. He owns less than 1% of the team. I don't need to hear a damn thing about him as a minority. I've never seen a minority share owner or a minority owner of a team get so much freaking rep and pub. It's absolutely absurd. It's like, who was the guy for the Islanders that bought, a minority share that just bought off like 10% from Malcolm Grump?
I have no idea what
We couldn't tell you because it's not fucking important. JJ Watt I hate that JJ Watt fucking bastard. I wish he would sell out of our club. Get out of the club, JJ. Here you go. TJ must not be a fan of Brady boy owning Birmingham FC or Birmingham City FC as well. I didn't even know he owned it. Here's the thing, though. I didn't even know Brady owned that.
Because Brady isn't a shameless self-promoter like some of these.
I don't have to worry
JJ
about
Watt.
hearing about how Brady every single week is, hey, ESPN update. Birmingham City Football Club won their game today. Is getting promoted up to the EFL 1. Congratulations, Wrexham. Uh-oh. Well, again, some of these people, these shameless self-promoters, I'm done listening to them. I don't need to hear about shitty teams doing something okay and we're celebrating like it's something important. I hate it. But I didn't even know Brady owned. Didn't even know it. He's probably a minority owner too, just like JJ Watt is. Maybe Brady should be wearing Birmingham City Football Club merchandise. Every time he goes on, he says, yeah, Birmingham City, baby. We're the best team ever. Let's go. I'm sick and tired of that. I'm sick and tired of JJ Watt. Get the hell out of my club. Oh, good segue. Brady, Grumpy, you think Brady's coming back?
No.
He's back in the saddle again.
Think Brady's not coming back, Grumpy?
He's not coming back.
He mentioned that he wouldn't be opposed to it.
He's not
the
coming
Raiders. The Raiders. He's coming back to play for the
back.
Raiders.
The Patriots. We even said the Patriots.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's going
He's
back.
not coming back.
He wants to win if he
He's
comes
not
back.
coming back. He said that he wants to be like the Johnny Miller of TV color announcers. Johnny Miller does, or used to do, I don't know if he still does. He was the main color guy for professional golf, the PGA Tour, and he was more critical of the golfers than most people usually are. So, and I think Brady wants to be like that too. He doesn't want to just be
He wants to shit on him for how terrible.
Everybody's great. He wants to tell it like it is. Well, good for him if he is. He'll be really popular. Who's this time ahead?
He's a dude who cuts people's hair.
This is the interview.
Interviews.
Hey, one day there's a situation, right? Maybe it's the 49ers, maybe, heading to the playoffs. Offense is great.
Patriots,
Somebody,
Raiders,
look,
could be. You never know.
God forbid somebody goes down. Would you pick up that phone?
I'm not opposed to it. If they would, I don't know if they're going to let me if I become an owner in an NFL team, but I don't know if, I don't know. I'm always going to be in good shape. Always be able to throw the ball. So to come in for a little bit, like MJ coming back, I don't know if they let me, but I would.
Let's say
wouldn't be opposed to it. Yeah, when I heard that, I think there's no shot in hell he comes back. That's for certain. But I just figured I was interested to see if Grumpy was optimistic about it.
Raiders Nation, let's ride.
He's not coming.
Adventure.
Grumpy and TJ, are you aware that Notorious Sun X is charging $2 per comment, $5 if you want your comment higher in the order, and $10 if you want your comment examined?
Holy shit, X. How much are you raking in on these podcasts and all these comments that we're doing?
Tons. Tons.
An X. Ugh. Anyway, here, freedom from adventure, Grumpy.
Grumpy, NHL does not want to deal with full-on communist government of Canada, the taxes, etc. Furthermore, it's about which ownership groups can pay the most and likely to succeed. Well, the NHL owns Arizona. They run the team.
Yeah, I always think it's funny how that type of stuff happens. Drew L.
You know what city would be great to have an NHL team in? Bridgeport. I know Robin Sal would be overjoyed about that.
It's a dump, as he says here. Tony Cheese.
Yeah, but we're talking Canadian dollars. It means nothing.
That was about the Winnipeg and Edmonton comparison.
Fuck, I know.
Food Fun Red says, Grumpy, 100% correct with female basketball players being gay. My eldest sister quit in her freshman year at Greensboro basketball over constant harassment by teammates. It's not the first time I've heard that, by the way. Most in the NBA is gay or bisexual, WNBA. Okay. Drew says, you know, if TJ actually mentions Jalen Brunson on a podcast, that's all I needed to know. He's done miracles on New York City. Honestly, he should win the MVP, but he won't. You're right. He won't.
Here you go. Andriel.
Kind of like how TJ sounded talking about Wrexham.
Yeah, I hate Wrexham. I hate all those teams that do all that shit. Hate them.
Tony Chi says, let's dive deeper into the anti-heterosexual sentiments in the WNBA.
Let's not. Thank you there, Tony Cheese. Let's not for Grumpy's sake and for
I just had to put that one up there. I just thought that was funny.
Joseph C says Diana Taurasi was dominant at UConn. No one gave a shit once she went to the WNBA. Exactly.
Yep, and it's probably going to be the same with Caitlin Clark and everything else. But maybe she breaks the trend, but probably not. JP.
Winnipeg is not having the best attendance. Is not having the best year attendance-wise, which will change in the playoffs. But Quebec and Hartford moving had zero to do with their attendance. There you go.
Drew L. Grumpy.
Sorry to break it to you, Grumpy and X. Boston played everyone, and they couldn't rest anyone because of the national TV rules that Adam Silver put in. I know a rare Adam Silver win. I mean, how would you like to go to a game? Because I know the Celtics earlier in the week had like their 5 starters out. JP says car, C-A-R.
That's for when you're playing out there in the street, playing 2-hand touch football, and a car comes.
Oh, okay. Drew says, so yes, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis all had to play. Okay. Drew says, I mean, how does Cortez almost throw a strike there?
That was on the Angel Hernandez calls.
I think it actually didn't he swing at it?
No, that's not no. Cortez. Or
never mind. That's for the Yankees when he was doing all that funky motion. My bad.
You're supposed to be a Yankee fan, X.
Dude, I can't tell you the last time I watched a game. To be honest,
we just talked about him earlier. JP said apparently Winnipeg's attendance has picked up the last 2.5 months from. Think about it, 9,500 in attendance. That's their sport. That's Canada's sport. To 12,600. That's still freaking abysmal. That's abysmal.
I'm sure if they were making extra $30,000 a year, they'd be going.
Grumpy, what are you watching?
I'm not watching anything.
X, what is he watching?
Oh my God.
TJ, why don't you just shut up and read a comment?
You can count these 3 things on these 3 things: death, taxes, and Angel Hernandez making shitty calls.
That's fair.
Absolutely here. JP, grumpy old man.
If Mr. Magoo became a major league umpire, would he be better or worse than Angel Hernandez? Things usually worked out for Mr. Magoo in the end. So I would have to say Mr. Magoo would be better than Angel Hernandez.
Freedom Fund Adventure, Grumpy.
TJ just sent you a video clip of the Islanders Twitter account of an NBA player threatening and having a teenage boy removed.
Oh gosh. Hold on, let me see that. Who was it? Which game was it? And I'll just search it here because I'm not logged in on that one.
Nick A says, I remember when the Yankees 2 years ago were set to have the most wins in history. We all know how that ended. They didn't. Next comment, please. Drew says, I thought his name was John Soto. Well, that was according to Yankee Twitter.
God.
And Drew says, also forgot that the feds also said there were 0 bets made on baseball. Of course. Right. The guy bet on everything under the history of the sun, but not baseball. Probably the sport, being Shohei Ohtani's interpreter that he knew the most about, right? But no, we didn't bet on that. We bet on everything else, but not baseball, where he had the greatest chance of succeeding. Sorry, it doesn't pass the smell test. Gungun says, is it time to hereby declare the Islanders are the worst NHL team in history of protecting leads late in the game? A damn shame. I don't think that's probably true.
They're not great. I mean, they blow a lot of these third period leads consistently. So I haven't even looked at the clip, but I'm looking at some of the comments where it says
it was a Suns game, TJ, a Phoenix Suns game.
Oh, this is from a year ago. Okay, gotcha. I'll pull that up then. Give me a sec. Okay, you can continue with the comments there, please.
Next comment, please.
That's UX.
Freedom Front Adventure says Collins is the new owner and he is important. Worked for the NHL and has helped land the All-Star game, the pond outdoor area, get broadcast from outside UBS, etc. Okay.
This happened 2 months ago. It was Luka Doncic was the guy who wanted.
You just comment first, Grump.
Milo Brownie says WNBA might not be pulling in the fan and advertising support like the male sports, but women's basketball is popular in Europe. That's like having a girlfriend in Canada. It doesn't matter. It doesn't exist.
Grumpy. I'll tell you this. I don't know. If it catches steam, great. I hope it does. I always think it's odd, though, that it's like if it's not profitable and they were always like, we want more pay. I'm like, dude, you guys aren't even cutting a profit.
It's subsidized by the NBA. Without the NBA, it wouldn't exist.
Well, hopefully they're able to capture some of this momentum from Caitlin Clark and maybe they get a Magic and Larry Bird, Grumpy, with Reese, with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and they hate each other. They play on the rival teams. I don't even know who the rival team's on. One team is the Seattle Birds or something. I don't know. And they could whatever they're cross around.
I just know the Liberty, I think, is one team.
I don't even know what
New York Liberty. Yes. I want them to be. They have a little bit of they have that going back and forth. Angel Reese was the girl that went like this about the ring, and she's kind of like the villain character when she kind of was like, like, hey, we won, and kind of getting up in people's faces, and then got upset when people got
in her face when she lost this year against Caitlin Clark. So I'd like to see maybe they could get some of that rivalry going. Though, Grump. Let's take a listen here.
What were you frustrated about at the end of the second quarter when you got that technical?
I know I saw you when you said about the fan, that was not a true all. That was not the only thing he said. But I knew you would be the first one to point out something like that. Because I'm not going to say what he said, but I knew you were going to be the first one to put out something like that. So I just saw it, man. It's just funny. You always seem to be the first one to put some bad stuff about me.
First of all, 99% of the stuff I've written about you has been good.
I don't know.
I was sitting 2 rows behind us.
All right, so it was the only thing that time he said something, the only thing?
That was what you reacted to.
Yeah, I was hearing the whole first half, right?
He said he was essentially fat and he get on a treadmill. I'll be honest with you, Luka could afford to be in better shape as a professional basketballer.
I'm going to tell you what, he does not like that reporter, and he's kept the receipts. Absolutely has.
Oh, you didn't hear anything?
He was definitely hollering.
Okay, there we go.
Acted.
You put out something that was just the only thing, but
what was the final straw? What was the issue? What was the thing that?
It's not the issue. I'm just saying you seems to be the first one to always put something bad about me.
Several of us actually tweeted that.
That's fine. It's all over.
Why did you ask for the fan to be ejected?
Because he was cursing me the whole first half too.
Why didn't you ask for to be ejected in the first half then?
Because I never would eject a fan. They pay for tickets, but I had enough, It's a little bit of.
I will say, it doesn't seem like Luka's got it's not adding up. The math isn't mathing right now.
Well, you know what I'd say? I'm not answering any of your questions.
That's fine.
Yeah, I would do what LeBron does. LeBron's
never
had fans ejected from games for way less than that. He never gets questioned by the media because he's LeBron James.
Yep.
I just do the same thing LeBron does.
You turned your head and looked over at him after he said that. That's what we saw.
Yeah, that's fine. The bad guy in the media, right? It's all right.
Feel like you were fairly portrayed in the media?
No.
And here's what Luka Doncic is talking about. The media was sitting right here where the fan was yelling things out to Luka Doncic. And according to the media, they said that the fan told Luka that he should get on a treadmill because he looked tired. And then that's when Luka got him ejected from the game. But this isn't the first time that Luka or someone from the Mavs has got annoyed with this reporter. It's Tim McMahon. I'm pretty sure that's his name. They believe that he portrays Luka in a certain way to the media.
I'll be honest with you.
You want to know how you stop that? Never talk to that reporter. Cut him. You get his thing. You can come. You come. But we're not talking to you. You're not getting picked for any questions post game. Do your job that way, hotshot.
Okay. Here's the thing. Play the fucking sport. Dude, it's like the same thing when they yell.
TJ, can you read this? Can you read this?
TJ, that is not the clip. Was a teenage boy. The Suns player was being restrained and yelling at the boy under 18. He would catch him later like a tough guy. Oh, shit. Send me that to the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man Twitter page. I'm trying to pull anything up. My mistake.
That's going to be my Twitter page pretty soon.
It's not your Twitter page. Absolutely not. I will say this, though. It's like the same thing when like NFL players go out there and start yelling or guys getting dude, the fans are gonna say mean things to you. Play the fucking sport.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? Who cares what people are saying? Just stay in the zone.
We have said 100 times before. It's a no-win proposition for a player getting involved with the fans.
God almighty. Happens Anthony Rendon grabbing the shirt like he was going to punch some freaking guy who was heckling him. Fucking worry about playing baseball, my guy. You're a professional athlete. In every sport, you're going to have somebody heckle you. Basketball, baseball, football, hockey. You can't really hear them in hockey, but you're going to have guys heckle you and guys and gals heckle you. Worry about what you're doing on the pitch. Worry about what you're doing. Just freaking focus and stop getting obsessed with what some fan is saying.
True.
Alexander says, and Son X, great to see you guys. Absolutely. Hope you guys are doing well. Absolutely, Alexander. We're doing well. Hopefully you guys are too here. My little brownie, Grumpy Old Man.
And yes, with most of the players being gay and homophobia is still a big thing, advertisers are reluctant to invest. See,
I didn't know there was a lot of that in the WNBA.
It's notorious for that behind the scenes. You will not hear mainstream media talk about that, but it's prevalent. It really is. If you're not gay, you're like ostracized in the WNBA.
Like an outcast.
And she's not the first one. Caitlin Clark's not the first one. Drew says, now I see why Mizuhara's nickname was Son X. The X means he's Xing out bank accounts.
Oh, there it is. Okay, Alexander Grump.
Believe it or not, I think the Knicks have a really good shot there. Not at beating Boston. Not beating Boston, they don't.
Alexander Grumpy.
Nestor Cortez sucks as a pitcher. He has to use that stupid motion to gain advantage.
If they don't remove it, why not? Just keep using it.
They should get rid of it. I think it's stupid.
Oh, he doesn't do that every fucking pitch, X. That was just the one time.
He does some form of that dumb shit every pitch.
Louis Tiant usid to do it too.
You know what? Next time, if I was up at bat against him, magically the bat would just accidentally come out of my hands and go right towards the pitcher's mound.
Okay, 90 foot X. You think you're going to make connection 90 feet away without Nestor Cortez dodging or stepping aside?
Roger Clemens almost did with that bat piece to Mike Piazza.
Okay, that was when Mike Piazza was running down the first base line, getting closer to where the pitching mound was, and he was off the mound, and he threw the bat at him.
You should have hit him with that bat.
Okay, first of all, Mike Piazza was running down towards first base.
Yes.
He was not going towards the mound. And
did you not listen to what I just said? He was running towards first base, which brings him closer to the mound. He's going to first base, and as you're running to first base, you're walking away from home plate. You're getting closer to where the pitching mound is. And Roger Clemens was already off the mound, and he threw it over there, and it was a closer throw.
Yeah, I don't think he didn't get close to the mound. He ran down the baseline.
I'm losing brain cells.
Listening? Is he listening?
Move on. Next comment. Freedom Fun Adventure says, mute him, X. Freedom Fun Adventure says, I would like to ask the three of you, if you were in charge of any sports leagues, what would your social media policy be for players? They want to build their personal brands, but sometimes harms leagues.
I don't care. Do what you want on social media. You know what? Because guess what? If you're not doing a good job, the court of public opinion will let you know.
And if they say anything you don't like, well, you know what? Anytime that if they're not producing, you rip them too. Man, this guy sucks. When was the last time he got a hit? He missed 3 tackles, missed a wide open net.
Do you want to know what my policy would be if I had a sports league? Want to know what it would be, Grumpy? Want to take a guess what my policy would be?
Not really.
No watching fucking TV during podcasts. That would be my policy if I ran a sports league. That would be the policy. Be a strict policy.
If I was in charge of a sports league, I would say that everybody would have to Uber and they could no longer drive on their own.
That's good.
And I'd pay for the Ubers. You'd have to Uber everywhere. You're no longer allowed to drive if you want to play in this sports
the
league.
Uber industry will be booming after X.
Well, guess what? You know what wouldn't be booming? People getting incarcerated for going over 100 miles an hour on the interstate while intoxicated or on drugs.
Frank from Empire State says, watch the full Islanders Ranger game today. Why was Engvall's goal removed for offsides? Because he was offsides. The other, I think it was Palmieri, was offsides.
Yes.
Especially since the Rangers pushed our player offsides. I think Brownie yesterday said, well, that's the rule. There is no rule where, I mean, the guy's skating back and contact as he's coming across the middle. He was over, and that's that. That's the rule. Cannot be offside. Can't be offside.
We were talking to Phil about that yesterday, and he's like, "Oh, they need to amend the rule. If you get pushed, it should be good to go." Well, I just said all you're going to do is open that up to more human discretion, and like, who's to say, oh, if his stick makes contact or somebody's butt bumps into somebody, he's maybe a little offsides, or a skate touches. Well, technically, that's contact. What's too serious to just keep the rules the way they are.
Yes. Gungu says, will OJ be missed? Can Son X and TJ coexist?
Let's talk about OJ Simpson. Orenthal Simpson, Grumpy.
Orenthal James Simpson. Well, what do we want to
He entered the transfer portal, Grumpy old man. Now, did you hear what has happened since his passing?
No.
Something about lawsuit or something like that some family was owed like $130 million or something.
No, there's a few things that happened. The executive of the estate, who's like his lawyer, is going to fight because like I think the way the estate was written or something was written, he was going to give $33 million to the Brown and the Smith family, or something of that nature.
Brown and Goldman family.
Goldman Sachs.
No, well, we've got here. So that had happened. Now, this is the more interesting thing, I think. O.J. Simpson reportedly made his children sign a non-disclosure agreement to visit him on his deathbed. I wonder what he was discussing that it was he forced his kids to sign an NDA to see him on his deathbed.
There is no way he told them that he killed their mother.
You don't think so?
No way.
What do you think he's making him sign an NDA for?
I don't know, but I'm going to guarantee you he did not tell them that he killed their mother.
I don't know.
I think Grumpy does have something on the TV, TJ. And you wonder what I think it is? I think it's the Dodgers and Padres game because it's tied 3-3.
Fucking Grumpy. Turn that TV off, Grump.
Grumpy, am I right or wrong?
Wrong.
What do you
You're right. You're right. Actually, you're right. I was like, what games are even on at this time? There's no NHL games. Like the Masters has already happened. I'm like, what is Grumpy watching?
Hey, Grumpy. What inning is the game in?
Who's at the bat, Grumpy?
What inning is the game in?
If I was going to say, just looking at the time, this game, if it's still on, would probably be in around the 7th inning, maybe top of the 7th inning.
Top of the 7th, I think, actually.
Grumpy, use that same magic ability. Who do you think would be up to bat?
I don't know. Maybe Jackson Jurickson Profar, maybe.
Okay. Here you go. Freedom Fund Adventure. Real quick though about the NDAs. I think absolutely he said something about killing those two people. Why would he make people sign an NDA?
Why? Yeah. I don't know why. Maybe he was telling him something about what happened in jail. Didn't he go to jail?
What do you think he was talking about on his deathbed?
He went to jail for selling some of his stuff.
He went to jail for threat. He had a weapon over
memorabilia,
sports memorabilia of his.
Yes, that he claimed he was not paid for or something like that. Who the fuck?
Yes.
Now here's a big question. I hope they chop open his head and study his brain to see if he has CTE.
I don't think he had CTE.
He might have.
No, he was just a liar. I mean, that's what
I think he maybe had CTE.
It was. I'm ready for him to drop a death or a book. Like a part 2. If I did it, this is how it would have done it. Part 2.
Now I know the executor of OJ's will came out and said his main goal is to make sure that the Goldmans don't get any of his money, even though it was owed to him because of a civil case that he lost.
Yes,
particularly after he wrote the book "If I Did It" by OJ Simpson, and it was all like exactly what happened, and they wound up getting not custody, but like that's like their property, that book. So they said, if I did it, Confessions of a Murderer is how they altered the title and then put it out. He didn't like that. Well, you shouldn't have you shouldn't have cut her fucking head open with a knife and killed some kid who was dropping off a pair of sunglasses, OJ. Come on. Everyone knows he did it. Everyone knows.
Hey, but he rushed for 2,000 yards in 12 games. That's pretty good.
It was 14 games.
14 games. That's pretty good.
He was pretty good. But okay, when you think OJ Simpson, do you even think football anymore?
No.
No?
I think him and his Bronco, man.
I cannot even express to you how popular he was before this. He was like the Hertz commercials, running through airports, jumping
the
over,
old white lady going like, thanks, OJ.
Jumping over luggage racks, just sprinting through the airport in a suit. He was so popular. He was on Monday Night Football. And then all that got wiped away. Anyone with a brain knows he was guilty. That's all I have to say. Freedom Front of Edge says, yes, Grump, the NHL owns the Coyotes for now, but the move will enable them to sell to new ownership. Expect an announcement shortly. JP says, there you have it. It's been settled. Mr. Magoo, better umpire than Angel Hernandez. Oh, well.
Oh, gosh, here.
Milo Brownie said, did anyone catch Butch's slip of the tongue during the last game? He gave me my April word of the month. Barvat. When's he getting replaced? I don't think they're getting rid of him anytime soon. As long as he wants to continue doing the job and is competent enough, he'll be doing that job. I think he's, 72, 73? Hey, they have Lou Lamoriello as a GM at 82 years old.
They'll sign him into another 7-year contract.
Yeah. Gungun says, did Dr. K deserve to have his number retired? That's Dwight Gooden. Is Phil Spack stuck in a quagmire? No. Drew said, if there's one thing Luka hasn't done, it's out of shape.
It's out of shape.
Hasn't been, it's out of shape. His stats are 35, 8, and 9 for the season. He had to carry that sorry Mavericks team all season long. I don't know why he just doesn't try to go somewhere else.
Yeah, he needs to leave. He's a really good player.
Yeah.
Next comment.
Drew says, Luka's always known to be a bit sensitive, but Russell Westbrook has fans ejected for far less.
Yep.
That's true. Tony Chi says, pay me his salary and I'll let fans throw rocks at me. Some of those rocks hurt. Gungo says, can Return of the Jedi have been improved if it was a kingdom of Wookiees instead of those idiotic Ewoks? Or was it merely a turd that could not be polished? I don't know.
Sure.
I at the time it came out, I liked it. I didn't like the revisions that George Lucas did. It is what it is. Alex Moreau says, Israeli official says 99% of Iranian drones and missiles have been intercepted. Antonio Brown subtweets this, and his caption, Iran starting quarterback Kenny Pickett. Wow. I bet TJ is upset he missed that particular comment. Oh, and here he is.
Timmy, can you read this one for me real quick?
That one.
What is this, X?
Read this one for me real quick, this comment.
Israeli officials saying 99% of Iranian drones and missiles have been intercepted. Antonio Brown subtweets this caption and said, Iran starting quarterback, QB, Kenny Pickett, CTESV. I will tell you one thing. Kenny Pickett Antonio Brown has been killing it on social media recently. The guy is freaking, he does not give a shit about what's going on, and he's an absolute savage. Freedom Fund Adventure Grump.
Grumpy, will you be having your family sign NDAs, any future deathbed confessions, or will your last words be simply, you're both disappointments?
Grumpy will be, please move, I'm trying to watch the game. He dies on his deathbed. What's the score? As he's trying to watch, as we're standing in front saying, Grumpy, any last words? You're in the way of the game.
Tony Chia says, I don't think NDAs cover crimes.
I don't know.
That's true.
Maybe he spoke really weird. He's like, the thing you think is right. Maybe he was really vague. Anyway.
Drew says 4.8 earthquake in New York City. OJ Simpson dies. A solar eclipse just happened. Yep, this shit is biblical. I don't care what anyone says.
His last words were probably, the glove did fit. They should have acquit.
They should not have quit. Gungun.
A missed opportunity tonight. All three of you sexy bastards wearing black leather gloves in tribute to the Juice would have been obtuse.
Would it have been obtuse?
Here's the thing,
I don't have leather gloves.
you were not alive when that happened. It was huge.
I was alive when that happened.
Do you remember anything about that?
I don't remember, but I was alive.
How old were you?
I was alive and remembered everything back then.
You can't even read a comment now.
You can barely read because you're trying to watch TV as you're reading comments today, Grump.
Hey, Grumpy, can you give us a score update on that San Diego Dodgers game, please?
I don't know what happened.
It's almost like if he was just
take a little peek to the left. Oh, there you go. Now
why don't you stop watching the TV and worry about the podcast, huh?
Freedom Fund Adventure says apparently OJ's son participated in the murders.
What? Really?
Wow.
I've never heard that.
JP said no one, and OJ swore he was going to spend every penny he had to find the murderers. He never did.
Never spent any.
JP says both things can be true. He could have CTE, and that could impact his frontal and temporal lobes to the point where he could have a constricted empathy and impulsivity. Yeah, you know what? No. He beat up his first wife, and he was jealous as hell of Nicole after she left him, and he slit her throat, period. That's what he did. And he killed the other guy just because it was a freebie. Drew says,
Two for one special.
That one's on the house.
That one's
Two
on the
for one
house.
special.
Drew says, Broncos country, let's ride would have been so much better if it was said by OJ instead of Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Yours truly.
Yours truly.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Hey, Twitter world. Yours truly. OJ Simpson here.
Could you imagine? Freedom Fund Adventure says, could you imagine if the Islanders broadcast was Brian Burke and Billy Jaffe? Huge mistake firing Jaffe because he was honest on the air. He simply was saying team needs to improve and get tougher. That's why he was let go. They don't want that in Islander land. They don't want that. They only want everything's great, Johnny. Yeah, that's what they want. Gungu says, Grumpy, care to expand on your dream that you mentioned last night of possibly launching your own Wednesday night podcast? Could its audience be vast? They would be short, for certain. It would just be me just talking about one topic, maybe two. That's it, and then done. Milo O'Brien says, Yanks are in first place so far. Does that mean I should expect a winning season? I would expect the Yankees to have a winning season this year.
Mm-hmm.
Drew says, also, if you didn't know, the John Soto tweet by the Yankees was them making fun of John Hetmanatee because of the whole Aaron, a.k.a. Arson Judge debacle.
What the hell is that?
I don't know.
Tough to understand.
Gungun says, who was the most tragic Brown? Nicole, Antonio, Charlie, or Bad Leroy? Oh,
bad.
I mean,
Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole damn town.
RDX.
Yeah, but now here's the thing. Bad Leroy Brown was still alive. He got his jaw rearranged. He looked like a jigsaw puzzle with the pieces, some of the pieces missing, but he was still alive. Charlie Brown, I mean, he was a blockhead. You could do a lot worse than that. Antonio Brown, well, we know all of his antics. I'd have to say it was Nicole. You get your head nearly cut off by your ex-husband, you're having a bad day.
It says Son X after Nestor Cortez uses that stupid motion. This is sent by Alexander here, by the way.
John, yes, I know what this video is.
Oh! And he goes,
wow, I don't understand that. He must have said something to him.
He said, hey, how do you like sweet chin music, baby? Boom. Kick right to the chops.
When you give him the Hong Kong Phooey kick, something's a little
He said,
off.
how do these spikes taste? Boom.
Last
Right
topic here. NFL draft, Grump, right? We do have that in the title. NFL draft. What are your feelings? I know this is late in the show. What are your feelings about this upcoming NFL draft? Not this Thursday, but next Thursday.
Should be good.
I'm kind of astounded by the hate for Drake May. I don't understand it.
He's not great. He strikes me as another one of these North Carolina quarterbacks that are way overhyped, drafted too early.
If anything, he's underhyped.
I think he's underhyped as well. Here's the thing. I'm not a fan of North Carolina quarterbacks. This kid is the real deal. How is J.J. McCarthy somehow, when the draft process started, people were saying he's a second-round pick. All of a sudden, he hasn't played a game, and all of a sudden, they're thinking he might even go 2 to Washington or 3 to New England.
Yep.
How does that happen?
It's all because quarterbacks always get overdrafted. For the most part, large majority of quarterbacks get overdrafted because teams are quarterback hungry. It's the most important position in football, and there's so few that do it well.
Okay, but is there anything that you could say it's, wow, he does that really, really well? I don't.
JJ McCarthy's going to fail.
Okay.
Well, that's, I guess, what Grump is saying. He
That's
doesn't
what I'm
understand the
saying.
hate on Drake May as to why J.J. McCarthy is ranked now higher than Drake May is in the
Somebody's
draft.
going to reach on Drake May too.
He's consensus number 2 quarterback.
How is Jaden Daniels ranked higher than Drake May?
Jaden Daniels is going to fail too.
But he's been in what, 6 years he played in college, and his one good year was this year.
You mean Michael Penix? That's a different guy.
No, Jalen Ramsey. I keep on calling him Jalen
Daniels from
Ramsey.
LSU did not play 6 years. That's Michael Penix who played 6
How many years did he play? 5? He transferred 2 years ago to LSU. He played at Arizona State.
That kid makes a lot of stupid runs where he gets lit the hell up. Daniels does. He gets hit hard all the time.
He was throwing to 2 tremendous receivers, 2 first-round pick receivers. I mean, and he doesn't throw the ball over the middle. They're all deep outside passes, and man, he likes to run straight up and down.
This was his 5th year. This was his 5th year.
Okay, so he's in 5 years he played in college.
He used the COVID season where everybody got the restart. He also played in the Pac-12 and only played 4 games. So he played in 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, and then 23.
Drake May's 21 years old. He's a lot younger. And they changed offensive coordinator. Offensive line was miserable. They lost their low wide receivers. I mean, he was really good in his sophomore year, Drake May. This year, a whole lot of changes. He wasn't as good. How many times do we see that? I just look at that kid throw the ball. I'm like, he's got skills. He can play.
They said that he's comparable between, Josh Allen and Justin Herbert hybrid?
Yes.
What they said.
Oh, my God. Please, for the love of God. I've watched him play on multiple occasions against University of Pittsburgh and other teams. Never impressed with him. I can tell you this. Maybe he's okay. Jalen Daniels has 0.00000% chance of panning out. He's an absolute waste of a selection. JJ McCarthy is a waste of a selection. Maybe Drake May pans out, right? But
Drake May's beaten more ranked teams than Caleb Williams has.
I think Caleb Williams has he has a confirmed fail rate. I think he's confirmed the fail at this point.
Well, why is his draft stock not dropped then?
I don't care about it. Okay,
well, that's the whole argument that Grump's making.
I just said I'm astounded that he's dropping on boards.
He's getting disrespected so much.
And how J.J. McCarthy moves up from second rounder to top 3, and he hasn't played a game, and it doesn't seem like they ever put the ball in his hands. They were a running team who played really good defense. I was never impressed with him throwing the ball. I don't see what makes him so impressive. I don't see it.
I think all the picks are a waste of a draft pick, though. I really do.
Okay. I think Drake May's good.
So do I. I think he'll be the best quarterback out of this draft.
Okay, well, let's say all the quarterbacks suck out of this year's draft. I mean, it's like
he was the best of the suckage of quarterbacks.
He'd be the New York Islanders of this draft, the best of the suck squad. How about that?
Again, like, are we celebrating suck squad players? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. People celebrate Trevor Lawrence out of that draft, and Trevor Lawrence hasn't been the best.
He's been the best of the quarterbacks, but he's not.
Yeah, but he hasn't been the best. I mean, would you say Trevor Lawrence is a world beater dominating in the NFL every year? No.
His first year was Urban Meyer.
And he sucked.
His second year, he was better under Doug Peterson. And this year,
he sucked.
He was hurt. He was hurt.
Okay, but still he sucked. Okay, still, regardless whether he's hurt, he sucked.
I agree. He did suck this year. He did.
Okay.
So he's had one good year in the last 3 years.
Are you trying to say if you were starting a team tomorrow, you would not take Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback?
I would take Drake May before I take him.
Oh, no, I'd take Trevor Lawrence.
Drake May.
Oh, fuck. Come on, Max. Are you kidding me?
I'd want to see what he can do.
He's a quarterback you can grow your team with.
Drake May's also a big kid.
How many balls did Calvin Ridley drop in the end zone this year? I mean, a lot of it, if your receivers don't catch balls, well, you know what? That's not on the quarterback a lot of times. Hits a ball in the hands, got to catch it. I can't tell you. And the reason why I know, Calvin Ridley was on my fantasy team. And it was so disappointing watching him drop touchdown pass after touchdown pass right in his freaking hands. That's not on Trevor Lawrence. Just isn't.
I expect you both to be ready to go for a draft day special or
We're ready.
in some capacity. So research done. I need you to be ready. X and Grumpy.
I'm ready.
No, you're not. Grumpy's never ready. X, I expect you to do a little research.
Maybe you should be ready. And
I'll
not
be
just talking about damn linemen.
We'll be talking a lot about linemen. Most
Drew
valuable
says-
position on the field.
Drew says May is the best quarterback in this class. I fully believe that. He was able to produce with 0 weapons on offense. It's no shock the Giants are interested in him. The J.J. McCarthy rumors have been silent.
I've seen a lot of people have been putting him as being like the
2 or
second or
3.
third quarterback
2 or
drafted off
3.
the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that as well.
I don't get it. Don't get it. Gungun says, with the Yankees off to such a hot start, can we pay tribute to one of the greatest moments in Bronx Bomber history by watching LaRoche strikes out Thomas on an Ephus pitch? TJ, do it.
All righty.
We can go to the next comment. Drew says, although knowing the Giants, John Mara would forbid Joe Shane from making the right draft because he wants to give Danny Derps another chance. I disagree with that. This will be Jones's last year.
Yep.
It'll be his last year. Drew says, well, C.J. Stroud also fell on draft boards too on draft night when David Tepper told Carolina's GM to draft Bryce Young.
I think Bryce Young's good though. I think
We're talking about fall. That was like from what? Like I told everybody C.J. Stroud was better selection. He should have been picked. I don't give a shit what the quarterback test said. I could just watch the game film.
Look at what Bryce Young would have done with Nico Collins and Tank Dell on his team.
And a running
His best
game.
receiver was a 33-year-old slot receiver last year.
Let's watch this real quick if we could take down that ad.
Comment, you mean?
Yeah.
Grumpy's brain is going to mush right now.
He was watching it ad. Oh, got him.
That's a ball.
Not when you swing at it.
Well, I know, but I'm like, Jesus, like, you swinging at that pitch? Come on, man.
It's like slow pitch softball.
Yep.
Jesus.
Don't see that much anymore.
Nope.
No, I don't see anybody use the Ephus pitch these days.
Drew says X's research will all be about F the Chiefs.
That's right. Fuck the Chiefs.
God.
Oh, here we go. We got a couple more.
TJ, Alex Monroe says, TJ, how about Purdue, baby? Eddie still couldn't manage to get a foul called on him. Foul Ming and over 20 free throws in one game against Tennessee. Ridiculous.
I don't know what the comment's supposed to try to be establishing.
That Purdue lost to UConn.
UConn's away. UConn was the best team
good.
in college basketball this year. Absolutely.
I said UConn was going to win.
Yep,
UConn's good. I had UConn against Purdue in the final. I had Purdue winning. I was wrong.
That Klingler kid for UConn is really good defensively.
He's
Really
going
good.
to pros. He's going
At
to
center. He is. He's good. He's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely. X, do we have any more comments here today?
Drew says Falming is wild.
God almighty. All righty. Let's go ahead and wrap things up here today, guys. Grump, X, what do you want to say before we end today's show?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man and Son X.
And X, what do you want to say before we wrap things up here today?
Just want to thank everybody for coming out and listening. As always, love the interaction in the comments, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks so much, guys, for watching the show here today. Thank you, Grumpy. Thank you, Son X. We'll see you guys next Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, stay golden.
Pony boy.